All right, picking up where we left off. We we basically, when I was basically about 8 years old, we left Eatonville. We moved back into Tunkhannock, this time to 55 Elk Street, which I basically we stayed there for 4 years until finished eighth grade, and then we moved out to the country again. But this was a great time in my life, um, just because of all the great stuff that we had to do. So let you kind of get an idea where we're at. But Elk Street sat to the southwest part of the town, and we lived right next to YDOT, which is the Department of Transportation. And this was another duplex house. We lived next to a couple people, but most notably the Bomers, and we lived there. Right next to us in this house, we had the Myers, which they were up in their age. They were a little cranky. They probably they had kids on both sides of the neighborhood, or both sides of the house, and I'd probably be cranky too, because we were quite busy. At the end of the street, Susquehanna and Elk Street, the Thompsons lived there. Lisa, Trish, and Doug, with their parents Jay and Elna. That we had. I was over there all the time. They had a great basement. That was the place that we hung out. They let us swim in their pool, which was very cool. And so we spent a lot of time there. Across the street from our house, the Adams family lived, and Connie Adams, she was older, a teenager, while we lived there, so we didn't have much to do with them. But we would basically, skirt their yard all the time, and we'd follow the wood line around, and basically this whole area of woods was our playground. And so let me just kind of map that out for you a little bit. We would go and basically play, as far down as we could. And this highway wasn't there when we were playing in there. And we would come up and basically this was our wood domain that we would play in. Right down the bank there was a sawmill. We would go play in the sawmill, push logs off, all kinds of crazy things that it's a wonder we didn't get killed. And like I said, the highway wasn't there. There was a sawmill there instead. In the woods, there was trails that we played on in the woods. We swung up from vines. There was little caves that we go explore. And then right in this area, Mr. Tiffany would take all his wood cuttings and branches and stuff, and over the years there was just this intricate maze of wood that we would rearrange and make into forts, which was quite enjoyable. So this house right here. Let me move it into view. This house right here, this was Mr. Tiffany's house, and he was an older gentleman, and he basically made model ships for museums. And he would let us come down to his workshop, and we would get to see all these different ships as they were being built, and different scales. This one area right here. This house did not exist while we lived there. So this was one huge open field, and this is where we played football a lot. We'd get the neighborhood kids together. The Thompsons would be there, the Smiths, just basically anybody that we could find, Ostroskis, and we would go in and play football in the yard. And we'd do that on a regular basis. So also in this, we had some other areas that we basically played in. So we would kind of leave our house. We'd pick up the Thompsons, and we basically worked all the way down Susquehanna. This was kind of our domain. And one of the places that we would go to was by the shoe factory. And so this little building right here was the shoe factory. And right next to it, they had a place that we could play baseball. And so, all the neighborhood kids, everybody that's in this entire area, if they were a kid, they would basically come out here and play softball, baseball and softball with us. And it was a great time. We had also, part of our area of domain, as I keep stretching out this map, we not only went out to play baseball, but we would ride our bikes. This was undeveloped, so all these buildings, everything here was not there at that time. And so there was a lot of bike trails, and there was a steep hill, and we'd set up jumps and try to jump our bikes and things like that. And we'd bike over to the drugstore that was over here, and Murphy's, and the grocery store that happened to be there. So we spent a lot of our time out there. As as far as school went, we had a couple schools that we went to. The first was this. There was a little school here. They have since replaced it with a much bigger school, but basically it was a one-story building that just kind of stretched down this road, and kind of made a kind of a little L. And that's where we did 4th and 5th grade. It was a good time. I guess the highlights of that was, learning the new math. And so we went there for school. And then, on 6th grade, we moved into what was the old high school at the time, which sat basically in this lot, part of the old high school. Or it was the old high school, and that was our middle school. So we did 6th through 8th grade, in that particular school. And once again, having we walked to school, so different ways of getting to school from where our house was. Part of it was taking Franklin Avenue. That would take us certainly to our schools. So, one particular route was that we would leave our house and cut through our backyards, and we'd go through the Farr's yard. Mrs. Farr, tremendously nice lady, and we'd go through her yard and then, head up Franklin Avenue and go to school. There was also times that we would just leave our house and just go right through the cemetery. So we'd head down the cemetery and then kind of cut through all the backyards and such to get through school. So that was like I said, this was our domain. So we knew every nook and cranny of the backyards, and we kind of go through those backyards and kind of work our way around. Spent a lot of time, basically exploring the woods around the town. So there was an area that we would go up by Mancuso, and let's try that again. So we'd go up here and, kind of explore the woods that were behind the schools. And we would do that, that was a fun area. So we'd be able to, walk through there. We also did this, the other part of town, in order to get to downtown, is we would go down and follow, either the railroad tracks or the woods, basically to downtown Tunkhannock. and so that was also part of our domain. And then, just all of Tunkhannock. I pointed out the library earlier. I spent a lot of time going to the library. And also behind that school that happened to sit here was the roller rink. So we go there on Saturday afternoons and, go to the roller rink. And um, uh, basically, we just kind of walked everywhere. Everywhere, we either had a bike or we would walk. All the way over to Tasty Freeze, which sat over here, and Tasty Freeze was an ice cream place that we'd go get some ice cream, and but this was our whole domain. So everywhere that we could possibly explore as a kid, for those 4 years, that was absolutely great. So a lot of great memories, especially the neighbors, the Thompsons and the Smiths and a lot of folks that lived out there. Had a lot of positive memories of just living in that place. So that is my adventures in that part of the world, and then we moved out to the country. So we'll pick up in that part and tell you a little bit what we did as we moved into Dark Hollow. But thanks for watching.